Well, welcome to the Solarize Meridian 2022 host orientation. I'm going to start going through the slides and then we'll have plenty of time for questions and answers. This program is sponsored by the Meridian Energy Team, which is a informal advisory group to the Meridian Township, and by the Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association, which is a statewide nonprofit that's promoting solarized programs throughout the state of Michigan. Solarize actually started in Ann Arbor and they've had a very successful program. And so GLREA is working with other communities to see if they can do something similar. The Meridian Energy Team has a number of individuals involved, including Leroy Harvey, who staffs the Meridian Energy Team. And some of you may know these folks. They'll be working, they'll be doing their own, most of them will be doing their own meetings, Solarize Meridian meetings, and also will be helping folks who volunteer to host meetings for their neighborhoods. Well, tonight's topics, I'm going to do an overview of the program, talk about selecting an installer, marketing the meeting, holding the meeting, after meeting activities, and then talk about the roles of host, installer, and the energy team members. And like I said, leave some time for questions and answers. Well, what is Solarize Meridian? It's really neighbors helping neighbors make an informed decision on buying a solar system, which is a big investment, helping neighbors find a solar installer, and getting a fair price and a group discount. For every meeting attendee who ends up buying a system, adds another 1% discount for everyone else. So if 8 group members purchase, then you would get the 8% discount. Now there's a maximum discount of 15%. The overview of the program, the host selects a solar installer for their home unless they already have a solar system. The host promotes and holds meetings with their installer and energy team member helping. Attendees who desire can obtain solar proposals and bids from the host installer. And then the attendees have to decide whether to buy solar. And, you know, if they desire, they can, of course, get proposals from other installers just for comparison purposes to see if they are getting a good deal. The number of purchases in the group determines the percentage discount. 10 purchases, 10% discount for everyone. To give you an approximate timeline, in this, we may have to maintain some flexibility in this. The first month, the host solicits proposals and selects a solar installer for his or her home, their home. The energy team member is assigned to the host to provide advice. In month 2, the host, the installer, and the energy team member kind of plan the neighborhood meeting, and the host starts promoting the meeting. Month 3, the host continues to promote the meeting. In the 4th month, the neighborhood meeting is typically held with the installer and energy team member helping out and participating in the presentation. And then the attendees who would desire can request solar proposals. And then the participants can get proposals and decide whether they want to buy solar. A selection of installer, we do have a list of solar installers that are available. I've checked with them and they're interested in participating in the program. I described to them the commitment on their part to offer the 1% discount for every participant. Related to selecting installers, like any home project, we encourage homeowners to get at least 3 proposals and then compare the dollars per watt for the total installed costs before the tax credit. Sometimes installers submit proposals that kind of reflect the price in different ways. And of course, there are different size systems too. So that's why we suggest, you know, it's somewhere in the proposal, you get $1 per watt, which is probably around $3 per watt in this area. And, you know, before the tax credit, because the tax credit, 26% can make a big difference. And, you know, certainly selecting installers. When I did it, I considered price, experience, the warranties, responsiveness. You want a installer who will be very interested in communicating with you and working with you. And then, you want an installer to agree to the 1% additional discount for each additional purchase. Will the installer use suggested pricing? We do have suggested pricing, but that can be negotiated. And if not, the host and the energy team member can negotiate a group pricing with the installer. So there's some flexibility in the program, but we'll want to maintain the 1% additional discount for each additional purchase to kind of have some continuity in the program. This is a suggested pricing for a basic system. As you can see, a smaller system, less than 5 kilowatt, we're talking about $3.10 a watt. 5 to 10 kilowatt, $3 per watt, and over 10 kilowatts, $2.95 a watt. There are economies of scale, and so you can see that reflected in the prices. A lot of people don't have any understanding of what dollars per watt means and whether it's good or, how good it is. And so we have a chart here just to give people a sense for how this works out. What's the bottom line? As you can see, for a smaller system, 4 kilowatts, we start out with a price of $400. And then we're assuming 10 participants decide to go ahead. And so we have a 10% discount. It could be 6%, it could be 15%. But we're just using this kind of a middle range to give us a sense for what the cost of a system might be. And then, then you have still the 26% federal tax credit. So for that smaller system, the 4 kilowatt system, we get down to $8,258. You can see with an 8 kilowatt system, now we're up at almost $16,000. In a 12 kilowatt system, $23,000, 576. Now, how big a system a homeowner needs, of course, depends on how much electricity they're using and how close they want to get to 100% offset. Because one advantage with solar is you can have a system that gives you 20% of your power, 40%, 100%, and so that's obviously a homeowner's decision. Marketing of the meeting. Well, and I'm going to use my own situation too as an example. I live in the Keystone subdivision, which is off of Okemos Road on Bircham Drive, some of it, and near Park Lake. My association does have a Facebook page, so I'll be using it. I'm going to ask some friends to use Nextdoor, which you may be familiar with, to kind of spread the word too. Some homeowners associations may have an email list that you can take advantage of. Of course, there's flyers you can use, or just talking to people on the street, over the fence, whatever works best for you in your neighborhood to kind of get the word out. Holding the meeting. Well, it can be virtual or in person. That's the choice of the host. And there might be a hybrid approach where you maybe do some of it on Zoom, and we can make a Zoom capability available to you. And then maybe you invite people over to the home to actually see your system. It's kind of up to you. We're recommending about an hour total. The host would welcome an introduction. Why the host went solar. What were their motivations? Probably environmental reasons, probably save some money. Talk about the discount schedule and how was the installer selected. The energy team member that's there to kind of assist you will talk about some solar basics, not get into a lot of detail because a lot of the specifics will come out with a proposal that's provided by the solar installer. Talk about the federal tax credit. The utility buyback rate for excess kilowatt hours. During the summer, your system may produce more power than you need, and that can be put on the grid, and then the utility will give you a bill credit that most people gain credits in the summer and then use them in the winter. And we'll talk about some financing options. The installer will talk about the product offering, what kind of solar panels, what kind of inverters, what kind of racking. Dollars per watt. what could affect pricing? What add-ons are available? For example, one add-on that some people probably be interested in is the possibility of batteries. And there's some other add-ons that will be discussed. And then deadlines, because in order to make the group discount work, we need to have a deadline for when people request the solar on-site assessment to get their proposal, and also a deadline for when they decide that they're actually going to buy and get the discount. Now, the proposal from the solar installer may be available for 60 days, and so that price would probably be still good in the future. But in order to get the group discount, we need to have kind of decisions made early. And so that'll be described during the meeting. And then, of course, should have time at your meeting for questions and answers. After meeting activities, attendees will be asked if they want to get a proposal. Obviously, it's voluntary. It's up to them. No cost for the proposal. The installer will visit the home and make an assessment. The installer will provide a specific proposal based on the size of the solar array and any add-ons, for example, batteries, that the homeowner might want to consider. Attendee has a deadline to decide to purchase and get the group discount. And then the energy team member will be contacting the installer and the attendees to kind of track progress, see how we're doing with this program. And then, of course, the participants will get solar systems installed. Well, just to kind of summarize the role of the host, if you don't already have a solar system, you get the bids and select your installer. You work with your installer and the energy team member assigned to you to come up with the pricing. You work with the energy team member and installer to plan the meeting. You invite your neighbors, friends, and family to attend the meeting. And, you know, we can have, the idea behind this program is to do a neighborhood meeting. That adds credibility to the presentation that this is your neighbor talking about solar energy. But, you know, it's not a problem if other members in the township actually attend your meeting. And actually, you know, within a reasonable distance, let's say a 30 minutes drive, if you know of a friend or a family member who wants to participate in the meeting, that's fine too. It has to be a reasonable distance for the installer to kind of take advantage of the economies of scale and the timing. So then the host does a virtual or in-person meeting or a hybrid approach. At the meeting, the host will describe the experience that they've had and how the installer was selected. The installer agrees to the group discount and pricing, describes the product offering, add-ons, pricing, and deadlines at the meeting. Following the meeting, the installer will conduct a site visit and provide a bid depending on the size of the system and any add-ons. The installer will provide timely communication following the meeting and will be a vetted installer with Michigan Save's financing program, which is just a financing option. And they do vet their installers, so that helps, I think, with respect to credibility. The energy team member is an advisor to the host on all issues, installers selection. It works with the host to plan the meeting logistics and agenda, works with the host to plan marketing, and prevents a number of information, background information at the meeting, including solar basics, real basic stuff, federal tax credit, the utility buyback rate for excess electricity, some financing options. And following the meeting, the energy team member will work with the installer to track progress. And that's it for this slides. And so, you know, at this time, be glad to entertain any questions.
John, can you go over sort of the timeline? Do you need to have this done by the end of this year, or in order to get the tax credit, et cetera? When do you see this happening?
Yeah, that's a good, excellent question. You know, because we're expecting that most of the meetings will happen in the spring and summer, so that the installations can be done this calendar year, and so that for two reasons. One is so that our homeowners can take advantage of the 26% federal tax credit, because next year it'll go down to 22%, as many of you know. The other reason is, for the installer to really get benefits from this kind of group buy, it has to be done within a reasonable period during this calendar year. Now, we may, if we have a successful program, we may repeat it next year. But there will be a point at which, depending on how busy the installers are, that we actually stop doing meetings. But I'm expecting that we'll do the lion's share of the meetings in the spring and summer. And then if the installers are available, we'll continue doing them as long as possible. Now, the actual process depends a lot on how long it takes, whether you already have a solar installer. For those of us who already have a solar system installed, the process can move much quicker. If you don't have a solar system yet, obviously it'll take some time, a couple months probably, in order to get bids, select an installer, get your new system installed.
So are we the host then, or are we the energy team member?
No, now you would be the host. You would host a meeting for the way the model's set up is your neighborhood. That seems like that's the way they did it in Ann Arbor, and it kind of makes sense that you could host a meeting for your neighbors, and that they would kind of go, well, I know where that person lives, so we can expect some credibility. And then but there's nothing wrong, like I said, for you invite friends and family, especially people within the township, and people that are within a reasonable distance, maybe about a 30-minute drive. They could be invited to your meeting and participate in the group discount. But
So
go ahead.
As a host, we're trying, if we already have solar, we're just trying to kind of spread the word and get others to get solar.
Yes, right. Yeah, because you had, and those of you who have had an installation done a while back, I'll be following up with you and kind of talking to you about contacting your installer to see if they want to participate in the program. My installer, we have Rob and Pete on the Zoom tonight. They are my installer, and so they'll be helping me with my specific meeting. But you had a different installer. I think at least as a courtesy, you should contact the installer and see if they're willing to participate. The big issue, of course, is that they would be committing to doing a discount, a group buy discount. And if they're not interested in participating, I think Absolute Solar would probably be willing to participate with you in your meeting.
And then who are the energy team members? Is that you or somebody else?
Well, actually, we have a number of them right on the Zoom tonight, because the energy team are the first ones doing meetings. So Roger and David, Valerie, Heidi are all members of the energy team. And that is, like I just very briefly mentioned, an informal group that works with Meridian Township on both energy efficiency and renewable energy programs and policies. So the energy team has been working with the township for years. And we've done a Go Solar program back in 2018, did a whole series of workshops. But the Ann Arbor model this neighborhood focus seemed to be working really well. And so we've decided to try it out in Meridian Township. And it was a while since we did the 2018 workshops. So we thought, we'll kind of give it a try. Most members of the energy team volunteered to kind of do meetings in their neighborhoods. And as you know, I've been kind of soliciting other people to see if they would be willing to do a meeting for their specific neighborhood.
John, have you made any plans or any thoughts on publicity? Things are going to roll out in phases. So with the first hosted meeting, there'll be something to report on. There'll be something to let people see what's going on. And of course, with the first systems that are getting installed, again, there could be many months between first groups moving. It would be wise to have some sort of publicity plans in place, whether it's just a matter of photos that go on the Facebook pages or local media. That's probably something that you want to talk to now or think about now. So for the solar project that Robin's working with us on at the Southside Community Coalition, we have a dedication planned for Earth Day or that weekend. So hopefully we'll have the system up and running, and then we'll be able to do a dedication. And that's when we'll be having local media in and explaining where we're going next, having just this one step. And of course, that could be a lot of different directions, but we have a couple of months to work on exactly how and who will try to invite and get on the evening news and things like that. I think your Solarize Meridian definitely should be on home TV. That's kind of made to order, right? Those are the kind of things that they like to cover with their local news bent.
No, those are, it's an excellent area to discuss. And, I'll be doing the first meeting for my neighborhood on Monday, March 21st.
Mhm.
And, whatever I learned, of course, I'll be passing on to the other meeting hosts. But I've already talked to somebody in the township's communication department about doing a short video that we can use for promotion.
That
And
sounds excellent.
yeah,
It would be, it would be great then for those of us holding later meetings to access those and share those resources.
Yeah, one thing we've done already, building on what's been done in the past, is there's a Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association has a YouTube channel. And a couple years ago, we did a virtual solar home tour, and it had a number of solar studies or solar stories kind of done on Zoom. Those are on that YouTube channel under a playlist called Solarize Meridian. And we've already placed there also some kind of introductory videos. I expect that the township's short video they'll be using for promotion will be placed there. This host orientation recording will be placed there. There was a nice video done about Roger's installation that is also posted on that YouTube channel. So there is some information that is already available on that YouTube channel, and we'll develop some more. And we have already in the process of putting on our township web page a brief description of the program. Now, all that will help, but the program really relies on hosts kind of marketing their meeting to their neighbors and friends. And so that's really the key, I think, to getting a turnout. But there will be support materials available to you that you can use in your promotion, whether it's handouts, flyers, pictures, we have material that you'll be able to use.
John, can you tell us about the success of the Solarize Ann Arbor? Did they get many new homes to add solar panels?
Yeah, they did. Although I don't have any statistics handy, but what happened with them was they've done a lot of different meetings. And again, most of them, or maybe almost all of them, have been neighborhood focused. The typical neighborhood meeting they've had, about 30 people showed up, 30, 35, something like that. And they had about half of them request an assessment, a proposal. And so they ended up getting about 20 site assessments, proposals out of each meeting. And then about half of them decided to go ahead and purchase the system. So they ended up getting, on average, about 10 purchases in each group buy. And they're continuing to do the program. It was surprising to me how many meetings they've been able to do and for how long. So they've, now Ann Arbor is actually, though, is kind of like our community. It's, pretty affluent, well-educated. A lot of people in Ann Arbor and Meridian Township too are kind of concerned about the environment and know some basics about solar energy. I know when we did our first program back in 2018, a workshop program, it was interesting because a lot of people had been thinking about solar for a while and had been actually doing some research. But then when our workshops came along, it kind of spurred them on. It just was enough to kind of give them over the hump and decide to do it. And of course, the federal tax credit helped. The federal tax credit, even without a group discount, is 26%, which is significant. And, if we're able to get a 10% or maybe even 15% discount, boy, we're talking about a significant savings for anybody participating in the program. Other kind of thoughts?
Great link to, in case anybody's interested in seeing more about the Ann Arbor one. So I just clicked on that. A lot of great info on there. Thank you, David.
Yeah, what I guess you could Google probably Ann Arbor Solarize, I would assume.
I just put it in the chat.
Oh, okay, super.
There's a link in the chat.
Okay, good. Yes, okay. Super. Other thoughts or questions? Of course, this is just kind of an orientation, get us some basic information. I'll be following up with everybody to kind of see what, whether you want to go ahead and participate, and also talk about who the installer might be and your timing. You probably want to start thinking about whether you want to do a virtual or in-person meeting or some sort of hybrid. That's completely up to you. And there'll be a number of decisions that are have to be made, but that's why we have energy team members doing the first meetings, and so they'll have that experience, but also they've been working with the township for a while, so that should be helpful to any of you that are kind of going to be doing this for the first time. I know, Jim, you've done a lot of workshops over the period, and so has David. So some of you have been doing this for a while. The presentations I've done over the years, people who attend are very interested. They end up having good questions. It's helpful, though, to have an installer there to answer some of the technical questions. It'll be helpful to have an energy team member there who's familiar with the federal tax credits and the utility buyback rate and all that sort of stuff, because those sorts of questions will come up. And if we don't have any further questions, we could end early, which would make it probably more readable, or more, it'll be easier for people to watch the video if it's shorter. But
I'd like to ask if we could just do a quick intro on our own solar experiences.
Oh,
so
sure.
We have a single family home. We put in a 4.4 kilowatt system way back in 2010. And I'm not allowed to go on the roof, but I do have a roof rake I can use from the driveway. So I had that out several times this month, clearing the snow when it was starting to get sunny. It's about 80% of our electricity.
Yeah, Roger, why don't you go ahead? Tell us? I think, David, that's an excellent idea. Roger, your experience.
Sure, I had Absolute Solar install a 7.75 kilowatt system on my garage roof 3 years ago in the summer of 2019. And like David, I'm not going up on the roof anymore, but so it was a little bit snowy this year, but it's coming back now. It's nice to see the sun on the panels again here 1st of March. So we'll get some solar coming back here soon. Because of the shading and the fact that my system faces west, that size system only supplies about half of our power over the course of a year. It would probably supply all of our power if we had a decent site, but we were unwilling to cut trees, so we have what we have. And just to continue a little bit, I consider my neighborhood here pretty much to be Piper Road, which is just kind of a linear road. There's 38 people that live on the road. And I know from a solar open house that I hosted actually in 2019, that there's a lot of people interested. And I think this might be just the nudge that they would need to actually make the decision to go ahead and put in solar. So I'm going to take a relatively personal approach to letting people know, and just quite literally going down the road, or sending people emails or even letters, because I do know addresses and names. And between us and between my wife and I and our neighbors, we probably know quite a few people on the road anyway. So we'll invite them over to an outdoor open house, an outdoor situation where we'll just meet in the backyard and take a look at the system, and hopefully Pete can come up from Absolute and help out with the solar installer part of it. And then we'll see if we can get folks signed up. I'm guessing that quite a few people from Piper Road will come.
Chris and Bruce, you use distributed power, I believe, right, for your system, or?
Yeah, we have distributed power out of Detroit, and we have a 14.4 kilowatt system. It had it installed in 2020, but it really probably became more. It became active in 21. It just took a while to get it connected to consumers. What would you say? You know the bills better than I do. What would you
Yeah,
say
I think
percent wise that it?
The
provides?
intention was that it was going to cover everything. So this is kind of our first year having it. And I did actually have to pay the last 2 or 3 bills. Our bill had gone down to $20 to $30 a month. And then I had to pay a bill in January, February, and there'll be one in March. So maybe 80%. I feel like it's still early. And then I'm going to be getting an electric car. So I think that's going to increase our electrical use. We may have to add more panels going forward.
There was a software glitch that did take us offline. That faulted, caused a fault interrupter to switch, and it would shut the system off.
And it happened when we were on.
And it happened on a 2-week vacation.
July.
Yeah.
That's
So there
annoying.
was, yeah. So there's a lot of missed opportunity there, but I think still we would have fallen short, even with that taken into consideration this last year.
We had also added a heat pump, so I'm not sure if that.
Mhm.
I can't remember the timing on that. If we got that the summer right before we got the solar panels, so maybe that affected like the total numbers.
For sure.
So Chris and Bruce, the heat pump, that's like an air conditioner that sits outside and then pumps heat out of the air. It's not a ground based.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
I see.
Yeah.
And is that your main heat, or do you mostly heat with gas?
Yeah, we have propane.
Propane.
So that's still early too. So I'm hoping it's saving us on the gas, but we're not sure yet.
It seems like, because I can hear it. I
It's
can hear it
running.
running.
Yeah.
Even on some of the colder days, not the coldest, but I feel like
No,
Mhm.
it does.
I feel like it that it does run
Yeah.
the majority of the time.
Mhm.
And Roger, we're on Van Atta, so I think we're right near you. So I'm not sure who our neighborhood is, but I have friends that live in that, whatever it's called, Strawberry Hills or Strawberry.
Mm. Mhm.
So
Cool.
Well, thank you. Jim, what, you want to tell us a
Yeah.
little about your experience?
Yeah, so we installed a 3.5 kilowatt system in 2015. Now I'm realizing that's 7 years ago. And it was done by Peninsula Solar, which does a lot of work up in the UP. But I think they might be listed as their headquarters still in Charlotte, Michigan. And it has paid back. It's about 2/3 of the cost has been paid back in a little more than almost 7 years. So we're on
Mhm.
track. I think it'll totally have paid for itself. 9 years or so, 9 to 10 years.
Mhm.
It's on our house. It's on the south side of the house. We're in the Briarwood subdivision in Okemos, and hey, it's worked really well.
Thank you, Jim. And Valerie, do you want to kind of tell us
Yeah.
your status? Because you're kind of in the process of getting one.
Right, yeah, so Absolute has been great work with, and we've been sort of timing ourselves to this program. And so my system will be installed second week of April, and I think it's 4.3, I don't know, something like that. It's supposedly supposed to handle 100%, we'll see. The house has a good southern exposure. There's no trees or anything. And I'm planning on putting my program together at the end of April. I've been doing a little bit of seeding of, information on social media, but I'll be getting a lot more specific and personal here, and putting my plan together within the next couple weeks and trying to reach out to a lot of people. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Heidi, would you like to talk about your installation?
Yeah, so I had two different, our first one was in 2016, a 3.4 kilowatt, and that was Peninsula. And then Absolute did our second in 2019, and that was 2.66 kilowatts. And I'm in Indian Hills, and I was going to, although I know, Jim, you're close by to us, I was going to post on Nextdoor and for some surrounding neighborhoods as well. I don't know if anyone has any other ideas. We have a wide range of ages in our neighborhood. And I'm just not sure what percentage will be interested in solar and, the payback timeframe of it and everything. So.
Thank you, Heidi. Yeah, I put in my first system back in 2010, and it was a roof integrated system, a pretty small system, 1.2 kilowatts by a roofing company actually out of Oakland County. And then what happened was that time went along, and it was working great, but I thought, well, the 30% federal tax credit is going to go away. So if I'm going to do something, I better jump on it. And I had a portion of my house that was higher elevation. It didn't have a super orientation, but it had no shading at all. So I ended up getting some proposals, selecting Absolute Solar to put in about a 2.2 kilowatt system. So that adds up to 3.3 or something like that. And that probably provides about 2/3 or more of my electricity. So I have both a roof integrated system and a kind of the typical lay on your roof system. And I've had very good, happy experience with it. The first system had a central inverter, and so shading has been a factor. The newer system, which was 2019, has the micro inverters, and it's high enough up that, I have no shading issues at all. But and I kind of briefly mentioned during the presentation, my neighborhood, Keystone, has a Facebook page, which I think is going to be very helpful in my promotion. It also, I'm going to market to kind of surrounding neighborhoods. So I know the couple of neighborhoods that are, a few neighborhoods actually that are within walking distance, real down the street sort of thing. I'm going to market my meeting to them also. I also was planning to do the Green Meridian Facebook group, which of course covers all the township. And some of you may want to take advantage of that, and I can kind of, Leroy Harvey, or I can facilitate that, because the reality is that as long as the participants, the attendees are within a reasonable distance of your home, as long as they're willing to kind of participate in the time schedule, people don't have to necessarily be in your neighborhood. And so, that's something that we can kind of all take advantage of in the sense of Facebook postings, next door. We may be hitting the same audience, but if I hit a certain homeowner in March, they might be ready to kind of jump on it, and one of you might hit somebody up in June who then has kind of thought some more about it and decide to attend a meeting. And so I think while we have a neighborhood focus, boy, there's nothing wrong with if you're active in your church, invite your church members. If you're active in a civic organization like Kiwanis, invite them, so because the more people participating, the more likely we're going to get buys, and the discounts will be larger for everybody. And everybody will be happy.
And I actually, I said something about our neighborhoods being close, but different people might be available different days. And so even if there's overlap of people interested, so.
Well, one idea in order to get the, more people participating and a larger discount would be to have a couple neighborhoods, especially if it's done via Zoom, go in together. So that's just a thought.
That's certainly an option, that if some of you are close enough together that you want to kind of explore that option, that the whole program, I think we'll want it to be flexible, because we want people to attend. We want people to, ultimately decide to buy a solar system. So, I think having workshops throughout the spring and summer, maybe even into the fall, will be great. And, I think we'll learn from each other too, kind of good ways to market the program, and good ways to kind of explain what the project is and why solar is advantageous to people. I don't think there's anything better than having a solar owner talk to potential buyers, because none of us are selling anything, and but we do have some experience, and so I think that's Ann Arbor has found that that's a very strong way to kind of promote solar.
I know there's recycling events coming up too, April 30th, October 1st. Those would be good opportunities for that as well. I think flyers are going to work well. I don't really engage much with social media, so maybe I'm just biased, but that to me, a flyer on the door that's coming from a neighbor, I think that, we could have that kind of standardized when we just change in the date, location and stuff.
Yeah, and what'll happen is, like I said, I'll be doing my, if you decide to do a virtual meeting, I'll be doing one in March 21st. And so you can, certainly the presentation I make, you'll want to change, but you can use it as a starting point for doing your own PowerPoint presentation. So, the more we go along with this, with respect to flyers, PowerPoint presentations, photos, videos, whatever, they'll be able to be shared with everybody to kind of get the word out to folks.
And I think you
Kristen-
mentioned flexibility too is pretty huge. If kind of that 30-minute or so drive, as long as that's acceptable, then hey, if somebody's not able to attend or they're not able to kind of make decisions, well, then they should be able to move into the next group. And then as long as they're in that kind of general area, then they should still be able to join in the next group. So hopefully that'll help too. And just to your point earlier, John, I think that the string inverter was the issue with shading, not the fact that it's central. I don't think they invented
Oh,
optical.
right, yes. Thank you for that clarification. Yeah. It was a central inverter, but it was a string inverter, right?
That's the
Yeah, now the, as some of you, maybe all of you know, now that they have central inverters with the optimizers, so it's a whole different ballgame that with respect to dealing with shading. The technology has changed in the past 12 years, thank goodness, yeah.
Chris and Bruce raised the electric car point. I just thought I would share. We put in a level 2 charger recently with the My Drive program from consumers. They gave us a $500 rebate, so I thought it was the time to do it. And we have a plug-in. It gets about 25 to 35 miles, depending on how cold it is outside. And for the most part, we don't do more than that driving. So you can see these entries tell you how many kilowatt hours it charged overnight. Like this 5.5 kilowatt hours, that was a completely full charge. Now it's a plug-in, it's not a full electric. So if you're doing a lot more driving, of course, it could be more kilowatt hours. But just to give you an idea of how much you might potentially be adding to your electric bill, our experience is maybe 3 or 5 kilowatt hours if we're driving the whole battery's worth. And I would say for the most part, we don't buy any gas. Just for around town kind of stuff, it's most days we just don't drive more than 35 miles or so.
And what kind of electric car did you get? Or
That's
hybrid?
a plug-in Prius Prime.
Okay.
I ordered a Mustang Mach-E.
All right.
Well, those look like a lot of fun. That's a true electric.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got talked in. We have friends that have one, and I wanted a small SUV, which is what that is. It's a bit
Mhm.
fancier than what I wanted, but
Mhm.
they told me I'm doing my part to help establish that there's more chargers that get put
Yeah.
in. So I'm doing my part.
Yeah.
That's what they told me.
I'll tell you, I saw one of those. Boy, they look real sleek. So
The
They-
infrastructure.
that is
they
cool.
got, they go.
And they
Yeah, I
go.
bet.
Yeah, our experience is that really for almost all days, we just charge at home. If you do have a long commute, and certainly if you're going to be taking road trips, then you need to worry about where am I going to fill up. But I think for a lot of people, they'll find that they can charge at home in their garage and they don't have to worry about running out unless they've got some long trip planned.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not exactly sure how if we will take it on trips, so we'll have to see.
Well, if you want a recommendation for an electrician, we were very satisfied with Monica at, what was her electrical business? We had to put in a 220 outlet in the garage to plug our level 2 charger in. But typically the cars come with a level 1 charger that just plugs into a regular outlet, so you don't have to do that right away.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm glad
we have a regular electrician. Thank you, though.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm glad this discussion came up because it does get back to the whole idea of the whole reality that, people are putting in heat pumps, people are buying electric vehicles. And so when you think in terms of your solar system, there is some reason to, if you can, get a bigger one. Now, Consumers Energy will only allow you to have a system big enough to kind of provide enough power from your past history. But we're going to the reality is we're going to electrify lots of different things, and we're going to be saving gasoline, we're going to be saving natural gas, we're going to be saving propane. So our electric bills may even go up a little, but we're going to be still saving a lot of energy.
And there are ways to plan ahead too for that. Whether it's larger central inverter to allow for extra capacity, so you can easily expand when you do, end up with an EV, or you can show proof of purchase to the utility, even on the
Yeah,
front.
well, we're coming up to 8 o'clock. So is there any further comments or questions about the Solarize program? If not, I'll kind of end the session. I really appreciate everybody attending. And I think I mentioned that, this recording will be, this recording will be placed on the GLREA YouTube channel under the Solarize Meridian playlist. And, you'll all be provided with links, so you'll be able to kind of take advantage of those videos that have been done in the past and the new ones, and kind of share those with people that you're working with, because I think, like it's been mentioned before, some of the most effective kind of promotion is probably just word of mouth. I've talked to a couple of my neighbors just walking around, and they asked me about how my solar system was going. And I said, oh yeah, great. And I told them about the meeting that would be coming up. And so, over the fence is maybe the best marketing that you can do. So any final thoughts before we adjourn, or?
Yeah, Chris, this is Roger. I see you're living pretty close to me, and I think that maybe we can do some collaboration. So I'll have my
That'd be
people
great.
call your people, and we'll see what we can do.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Hey, collaboration. Let's hear it for collaboration. Hey,
All right.
thanks again, everybody, for attending. I look
Yeah.
forward to working with everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
John.
you.
Thank you, John.